Hey, welcome back, everybody. Time once again to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio, with a guy who's always out in the community. And I guess we have another UCLA connection tonight here. Is that what we've got here?
We do. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for, and everybody listening, thank you for joining us. Our community is your community. Just want to share some of the highlights that we do in the community as the Hispanic Chamber and what we do every day. And we have a special guest today, somebody that goes way back with me. I'll make full disclosure. School at UCLA many decades ago. I won't say how many decades. I guess you could do the math and figure that out. But we have Mitch Gaylord, Olympic gold medalist, 84 Olympic gold medalist, very famous for some of the things he created as a gymnast, and we'll talk about those. But Mitch, thank you for being on today.
My pleasure. It's good to be here with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We finally reconnected a few months back and got to come to our golf tournament. Mm-hmm. Got to hang out a little bit, but it had been a while since I had seen you. And because I remember years ago, I lived 2 doors down from Peter Vidmar, another Olympic gold medalist at UCLA, a gymnast at UCLA, and you'd come by. Peter and I were in Hedrick Hall, and you'd come by and say hi and hang out. And so way back.
Yes. Fun days, fun times.
Fun days. But we had a lot of Olympians at UCLA.
Yeah, big time.
Like swimmers and not just gymnasts and divers and all the kind of stuff that we had. So we were very fortunate to have kind of the football players, basketball players, Olympians, and be around that at the time. But it was exciting. Tell us a little bit about just yourself personally. I think that people don't know about your current family and what's going on. And
yeah, there's so much to talk about. I don't know where to begin, but the exciting news is we moved back to California about 6 months ago. It feels like we came home. We're in the Orange County area. I grew up mostly in Los Angeles. We had left. We went to Texas for probably 14 years in Austin, and then we were in Florida for a little bit. And finally, my wife and I looked at each other and we said, we want to go home. Let's go back to California. And so here we are. That's great. The short version.
That's great. And you have a couple of kids. You have a 15-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. Is that correct?
We do. Luke is 15, and he's got that gymnastic gene that I had.
Okay.
So he's flipping and twisting every chance he gets. And our daughter, Valletta, is 17, and she's an incredible figure skater, and she's into theater and acting. Definitely creative, extremely creative. Mm-hmm. Then I got 3 older kids, too. They're grown adults now.
Okay. Yeah. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And then Valentina, your wife, is an author. Tell us a little bit about Valentina.
Yeah, so Valentina, she has that big old entrepreneurial spirit in her, just like I did. And we opened up some fitness studios in Austin, Texas, and she ran them. She grew it to 3 studios, and then COVID hit, so we had a rough patch there, but she ended up selling those off. And she wanted to know what her next chapter was. And I said, you should write your story because you're dealing with a lot of women's health issues and you've found your path through it all. And so she sat down and she started writing. And next thing you know, she got a publishing deal with Hay House and Penguin Random House. And she has a book called Well-Being out there. It's a wonderful book that's helping a lot of people. And she's on to her second one right now. Maybe that's where my daughter gets her artistic and creative side from.
Okay,
Certainly not me.
Not from Dad, but not from Mom. That's like my kids. I think it skipped a generation because my wife and I are not creative. But my kids certainly are. How did you get into gymnastics? When I was growing up, it was football. It was basic football with the one you throw, not the one you kick, track, and those type of things. How did you get into gymnastics in Southern California?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because I wanted to be a football player or a baseball player. I did all those mainstream sports growing up as a kid. Problem was I was really small when I was growing up, and by the time I hit about 12, I just couldn't keep up with my age group in those bigger sports because they were getting bigger and stronger. And my dad said, you love diving. You're always jumping off diving boards. You're flipping, like doing these crazy things off there. What about trampoline? And so my mom researched it, and she found at L.A. Valley College, I was growing up in Van Nuys, they had a weekend trampoline class, and she enrolled me. And the minute I got in there, the first day I started bouncing, I knew like I found my home. And it just felt so natural, so much fun. The freedom of flying, it was just in me. And I could flip and twist. I had that natural ability. And the coaches said, you really have to take up gymnastics. There's these 6 events, and it's going to require a ton of work, but you're the perfect size for it. and you've got the flexibility, the strength, and obviously air sense. And so that's how it really all started. And then it just morphed over the years into competing and traveling, which I loved. And I just wanted more and more of it as I got older. And eventually that led into high school competition. I went to Ulysses S. Grant High School and ended up winning the LA City Championships. And even though it was a big deal in Los Angeles in the sport, on a national level, people hadn't really heard of me at that point. But there's a whole story there, too, we can go into if you want, on how I ended up at UCLA. But I wasn't nationally known at that time, and I was a late bloomer in the sport.
Then how did you get to UCLA then?
What makes you ask? So, first time I competed nationally was at the Junior Olympics in West Point. And I had heard of all these guys because they were the ones getting recruited all over the country. And they were the ones that were in demand because they were already at the junior national Olympic level. They were being groomed to go on to the senior national team. So this meet was at the Junior Olympic Championships. And so I went there, and a few of the guys that ended up at UCLA, Mark Casa was one of them. But more importantly, Sakamoto, who was going to be the new assistant coach, who was Peter Vidmar's coach, was also there. So they were watching me, and they were talking with me after the event. The funny part of it is that it was the worst competition I've ever had because I basically choked. I was so intimidated by how great everybody was and what I had heard about them. And they were already in Gymnast Magazine, a lot of these guys. So when I saw them, I was a little bit starstruck, and I got insecure. I started not being in the moment. Every athlete knows in order to be at your best, you got to be in the zone, be in the flow, be focused. And I was anything but that. I was looking around the gym, feeling like these guys are so much better than me. I don't belong here. All those feelings of lack of self-worth that sometimes you get, insecurities. And I blew 50% of the routines, 50%. And ended up, here's the cool part of the story. The top 12 got to stay for a 2-week training camp with the best coaches in USA gymnastics. And you were the team that was really being groomed for that next level. Guess what place I came in?
13th.
13th.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I can believe it.
How'd you know?
He teed it up that way. But,
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I think we got to know you because we're in school together. But I think the audience in the '84 Olympics got to know you as being extremely confident. I think that was something that came across to people because you were willing to do some things that other people weren't willing to risk, and you had to have supreme confidence to be able to do that. So that story is kind of interesting that you were a little intimidated then before the '84 Olympics.
The big reason for that lack of confidence at that point in time was I didn't come up the ranks like we talked about earlier. Like if you talk about the Chinese or Russians where they're handpicking somebody at 3 or 4 years old because you've got these great genetics and you're in these intense programs right from the beginning. Mine came at 12 years old, and it came through trampoline and just a natural ability. My formal training that gave me confidence was UCLA because I was around Peter Vidmar and Mark Casa and eventually Tim Daggett, who also made the team. Right. So that all built over those in a very quick manner and a very short period of time. That's when that all came in, when I went back and I got my fundamentals and basics down, that coupled with those fancy tricks or risky tricks that you saw in the Olympics, that put the whole package together, and it also brought my confidence to a whole new level. So the mental component is huge in any sport. But in gymnastics, when you're out there by yourself doing your routine, it's you on the equipment. And you got to mentally learn how to have tunnel vision, how to focus, how to get the best out of yourself.
So what year, was it freshman, sophomore, junior? When did it start to flip with you where you started to believe, I have a chance at this, of making the Olympic team? Because we knew the Olympics were going to be in Los Angeles in '84, and specifically they were going to be at Pauley Pavilion.
Yeah,
our
court
home
advantage.
Court advantage, right?
Yeah.
So when did you get that feeling? You go in as a freshman, you're still feeling your way around a little bit about where you are as a gymnast.
Right.
When did you see that flip in yourself?
It happened at the 1980 Olympic trials. And so that was when I was a freshman at UCLA, and I went there, and remember, a year ago in '79 is when I competed on the junior level and took 13th. So in 1980, I had now had a year of training at UCLA with all these great gymnasts, and Sakamoto and Art Sherlock was still around at that time. And I took 12th at the Olympic trials on the senior level. I literally surpassed all those juniors that beat me a year ago. And so then I was like, wow, it's coming together now. I could see once I put in the correct work, the discipline, the training, I know I have the ability to get there now, even though I wasn't in the top 6 or 7, which actually comprises the Olympic team. But I knew there was a path now. I knew I could get there. And the fire was so deep in me at that point, the desire, the determination, all of that. And it was just really putting in the work and climbing the ladder at that point.
Who were some of the best teams in gymnastics? Was it Nebraska, UCLA, and who else was up there?
Penn State was big. Oklahoma is where Bart Connor came out of.
Okay.
Indiana State is where Kurt Thomas came out of. He was too bad we boycotted in 1980 because that's where his peak was. And he probably would have gone and won some medals. He was kind of
our most famous men's gymnastic performer at the time.
Big time.
That's the only one we didn't, because gymnastics wasn't that well known, at least nationally. At least I remember back then.
No, you're correct. And Kurt literally put men's gymnastics on the map because in '79 there was a World Championships, and he actually won a gold medal, I think, on floor exercise. I don't have all the stats, but he did really well. But when he came back, he went on Johnny Carson, and he was getting endorsements at that time, which was unheard of for men's gymnastics. So he became famous, and he also opened the door for our team in 1984. People watched because they knew there was a great male gymnast before us, Kurt Thomas. Unfortunately, he didn't stay in that long. Now, Bart, on the other hand, was also on that 80 team that got boycotted, and Jim Hartung and Peter Vidmar. So Hartung, Bart, and Vidmar all stayed in and made it to the 84 team.
What was that like competing for the trials, Olympic trials, to get on the team? What was that like going through the trials to get on the team?
It's nerve-wracking because even though, like in gymnastics, we have the USA Championships that happens like 4 or 5 months before the Olympic trials. That's where we get our rankings for the whole year. And we had that. I took first at that. So if I just did what I was capable of doing in the Olympics, at the Olympic trials, I knew I'd be on the team. But you're always a little nervous. Anything could go wrong. You could get injured during a competition. So you still have to hit your routines. But by that point, the top guys that ended up on that team were very well known. We were, like Vidmar and I were number 1 and 2 in the country from 82, 83, and 84. And Daggett was right in there. Bart Connor was right up there. Jim Hartung, Scott Johnson. Like, we all knew each other, even though we were rivals. That's the big story out of that team, is we were major rivals going into the games, but we had a great coach, A.B. Grossfeld, who brought us together. He said, let's put this UCLA, Nebraska, Oklahoma stuff, let's just leave it behind and come together as a team. USA, you guys can make history as a team first. It's never been done. We've never won a medal. Let's go out there and do that and change men's gymnastics. And then once we get that, any medal, bronze, silver, gold, doesn't matter. Let's just do the best we can together, support each other. We're all going to be teed up for individual medals after that. And that is exactly what happened. So it's cool.
Was there a moment like in the movie Miracle, right? The hockey team where the coach gets them, they're all competing against each other to a certain extent. They all played against each other in college, and they have to come together as a team now and do the same thing. And was there a moment that you lit something on fire with you guys to say, hey, look, this is the opportunity we have, what the coach did there?
There was that moment. It was at our 2-week training camp before the Olympics, which was it was in the Wooden Center.
Okay.
Talk about our home court.
Yeah.
And here we are all training together for the biggest competition of our lives. You got to understand, gymnastics, even though you do compete as a team, it's a very individual sport. Like I said earlier, you're up there by yourself on that apparatus. Hockey, you're moving as a team. You're all relying on each other for every intricate part of the game. So it's more about support. It's more about mindset. It's more about AB setting the stage of the goal is, let's make history as a USA team. That's the goal. Let's all focus on that. And in order to do that, you can't have rivalries going on. You want to support each other. And that was the moment that it all clicked in. And it was wonderful because we had never, like Vidmar, Daggett, myself, we were always supporting each other at UCLA.
Sure.
But Hartung and Johnson, we got together. We were like, we didn't want the other guys to win. And now all of a sudden we want all of us to win. It was a really cool shift.
And you talk about individual because you have a flip named after you. How many other gymnasts have a technique named after them. I don't think there's that many, right?
It's kind of rare.
It's rare.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the Gaylord flip? We know it was very risky at the time of you doing it. And there was, I think I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember listening to the broadcast and saying, should you do it or not do it? Because there was a risk if you fail at it.
Yeah.
You probably don't win the gold medal.
We would not have won the gold
Right.
had I missed it.
But how did you come up with that to begin with? At some point, you're playing around in the gym and you just say, I'm going to try the most crazy thing I can. And if I succeed, it's awesome. And if I don't, I might hurt myself pretty bad.
And you can get hurt really bad.
Yeah.
They're release moves on high bars. So you're releasing the bar, you're flipping and twisting perhaps, and then recatching the bar. So the unique part of the Gaylord flip is what it was called. That trick happened in 1980 when I was a freshman at UCLA. It came to me in an actual dream. I dreamt it.
Oh, you dreamt it first.
And I woke up. I said, oh, wow. I wonder if that's possible. And then I went into the gym and I told Art Sherlock about it. And he said, there's only one way to find out. And we had spotting belts back then where you put something around your waist. You're attached to a pulley system on ropes. So if you do get into a dangerous situation, the coach can pull on that rope and keep you from hitting the bar, basically, or hitting your head. And I caught it on the third try. Wow. And it's a 1.5 front flip over the top of the bar, recatching on the other side. That was my Gaylord flip. And that lasted for a good solid 2.5 years. And then I lost the trick because it was too similar to our compulsory dismount. It had the same tap, and it was really confusing for me, and I just lost it. I couldn't do it anymore, really. And I thought, this is crazy. I have a trick named after me. I better get another one.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, oh, people are doing flyaway half twists and recatching the bar on one side of the bar. What if I did a flyaway half and took it over the bar, like the Gaylord flip, and caught it on the other side? So it's a 1.5 flip over the bar with a half twist now. It's called the Gaylord 2. That's the one I did at the Olympics. It's extremely risky, very hard. And by the time high bar got around at the Olympics, it was the last event for the team competition. We were neck and neck with the Chinese. They were on floor, which was their best event, and we were on high bar. And I was pacing back and forth before because, not to get in the weeds or anything, but 5 out of 6 scores count for the team score. Scott Johnson was our first guy up. He made a slight error on his dismount. We knew his score got tossed out. Okay, so we needed the next 5 scores. And we didn't need me to do a risky Gaylord 2. I could have played it safe, and I probably could have got a very high score, and we probably still could have won a gold medal. But A.B. Grossfeld, he and I kept avoiding eye contact the whole time before the judge lifts the green flag for you to go up. And I think he knew how important it was for the USA team to show, hey, we deserve the gold medal. We're doing the scariest moves, the riskiest tricks. We're innovating the sport. And I was looking at my teammates. They were like, giving me, let's go. And finally, AB and I locked eye contact. And he just looked at me. He gave me the slightest eye contact nod. That was it. And I knew, okay, he believes in me. He's not telling me not to do it. I'm going. And I went up, crowd silence, get up on the high bar, start the routine. Did the tap, popped up in the air, did the whole flip and twist, and looked around. There's the bar, grabbed it with all my might, swang around, caught it. The crowd went crazy, did the dismount, and I scored a 9.95. So I was a happy camper, and it was very exciting. I wasn't the last guy up on high bar, so we didn't win the gold at that moment. Right. We still had Bart, Tim, and Pete to go, but the momentum was there, the excitement was there, the electricity was there. And we finished it off, and we ended up winning. It was incredible.
It was incredible to watch. I didn't get to go. I got to go to track, but I didn't get to go to the Poly Pavilion to watch it. But I do watch it on TV, and it was just an amazing time watching that. It was up there almost with the 80 Olympics and the hockey team, right?
Yeah.
And we just, those 4 years for our Olympic athletes were just amazing.
It was so unexpected for us. We had never gotten a medal at all. And the Chinese team had just won the World Championships a year prior. They were dominating. But I'm telling you, man, we just pulled it together for that particular point in history, and it worked. And we're so proud that it happened. And it hasn't been done since. We're getting close for the men. The women do it all the time. But the men's team has gotten close, and maybe in 2028 they can do it again because they certainly have the talent. Incredible level that they're at right now.
Are people still doing the Gaylord 2 in competition? Do they do that?
They do both, believe it or not.
They do, okay.
Yeah, which is something I'm really proud of. Everyone says, how does it feel to have a gold, silver, and 2 bronze? And I'm like, it feels incredible, but it's cool to watch TV now. It's 40 years later and seeing that I made an impact on the sport historically where people are doing my skills. So that makes me feel really good.
So where is the state? You brought it up a little bit. Where is the state of men's gymnastics in the U.S.?
Incredible talent. The guy, the pommel horse guy, Steve Nedorowski, got the bronze medal.
Penn State.
But we've got incredible gymnasts. Brody Malone just won the World Championship, won the gold there. I can't remember everybody's name. I'm so sorry. It's so funny because everyone thinks I'm an expert on the sport now. I'm not. I love watching it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like in the trenches with the athletes anymore. But the talent is there, that's for sure. And there's some guys that I met in Florida who train at Evo Gymnastics, some of the younger guys, up and coming. Danelle is one of the guys. He's a junior. I see him potentially making the team as well.
How invested are we as the U.S. compared to where we were 40 years ago today when it comes to men's and women's gymnastics? Because back then, obviously the Russians, the Chinese, other countries dominated the landscape. Where's the U.S. now as far as developing kids at a younger age?
Right. That's a great question. So it's completely different stories for men and women. So our women's team has been incredibly dominant over the years, and they have incredible gyms across the country before college to get those athletes to the elite level, and it's going incredibly well.
And part of that's because women do...
Title IX situation.
Title IX, but women do develop a little bit earlier,
They do. They do. I thought you were going in another direction. But yes, they absolutely peak earlier than men do. Men definitely peak in college. That's why I brought up the Title IX, because the college campuses in my era is where all the elites progressed and went up the ranks. There was very little national training at that time. We had a Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center, but everybody was in colleges competing and getting better. Nowadays, there's so few colleges that have those programs. So there's Evo Gymnastics as one example where a lot of the athletes have gone to get the training at that level. But it's hurting right now, to be honest with you, that we need more programs around the country to develop kids from a younger age to get them to the higher levels. And I hope things change soon because the enrollment is down. It's not like it used to be. And then again, like our goal was to get a college scholarship, and then we train at these colleges, and there's not enough college programs for men's gymnastics out there.
Yeah, we don't have it any longer at UCLA, right?
No.
We don't have wrestling. We don't have gymnastics. Do we even have swimming anymore? I don't even know.
I don't even know either. It's sad, though, because I understand equality in sports, men's and women's. I'm totally for that. But how do other schools do it? How do they keep gymnastics? There's got to be a way to make it happen, whether it's from more donations or pulling money from somewhere else to keep these programs and the history alive. There's history there.
Huge history.
One of my proudest moments is walking into Poly Pavilion and seeing a giant picture of me up on the wall and the Hall of Fame. I'm so proud to have been part of that. At UCLA, we won in 1984 also for the first time as a team. We had never done that. So I'm super proud of that. And then now there's no program there. So that's sad.
It is sad. Yeah. But it is cool to walk into Poly now.
After
they've redid it. And
it's beautiful.
All these great Hall of Famers, yourself included. It's just amazing. Where do you think, if you were going to give advice to parents who were trying to get their kids into ice skating or an Olympic sport like gymnastics, what's the advice you would want to share with parents?
I'm going to be brutally honest, and it's be their parent, not their coach. You're not their coach. And you want to be supportive, loving, encouraging, and you want it to be a healthy journey for your kid. And I've seen it all too many times where parents get overly involved and they put their dreams on their kid, and it takes all the joy out of it for the kid. And it has to be authentic. It has to be a true love of the sport for the child. And it's got to be in a great training environment where it's nurturing. It's not unhealthy. And we've all seen and heard the stories where it can be unhealthy. Yeah. And it's not worth it. Come on, these are kids. You want them to be adjusted growing up and going through it and enjoy the process, for God's sakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Valentina, your wife, has a book. I think there's been thoughts. People have pushed you to write the Mitch Gaylord.
Yeah, she's one of them pushing me.
The Mitch Gaylord story, and we'd all love to read it and find some more back. Here we're going to spend 30 minutes or so on it, but it's not enough time to get all of that backstory of how you got to where you were and what you learned from it and how you've been able to be successful, not just there, but in life beyond that, your kids and your community. Are you going to be able to share that with us someday, a book about the Mitch Gaylord story?
I would love to. Being that my wife has paved the way there, she's already with Hay House and Penguin Random House, and she's on her second book now. So I have access. Yeah. I have interest. For me, I've spent decades avoiding it. I've always known there was a book in me. I've just never felt like the time was right until now. And I actually sat down and I started writing. I do have some incredible stories, not only on the road to the Olympics, but what happened afterwards. I ended up doing movies and TV stuff and got messed up in Hollywood. I'm not talking like a tragic story or anything, but there's major life lessons to be learned about that life journey of hitting the summit and getting to the top and then going, what now? Like, where does this all go? And what's operating underneath these levels of this new frontier that I'm on? And I can tell you the one key word that always comes up is fear. And fear, when you're climbing the summit, is a heck of a motivator. And there could be great things that come from having that fear, like putting fuel to the fire that's in you, because you don't want to lose, because you're afraid that you're not going to be worth anything in life unless you win. So there's a tremendous drive that can be created through fear. But there's also the flip side of fear that could do things that people aren't always aware of. And there's a lot to do with integration and understanding fear. So that's a theme of where I'm going with everything. And it's more of a prescriptive book now. But yes, I hope to have that in the works over the next 6 months.
With the Olympics coming up, the LA Olympics 28, we have the Winter Olympics.
That's right.
Coming up soon. What the opening ceremonies, I think you were telling me before we went on, is on February 6th. And you're going to be doing something on February 6th, I think.
Yeah, in Seal Beach, Orange County. So my cousin Marnie, she opened up a bar out there, and it's a sports bar. And so she wants me to come out there, and I agreed to do it because I went out there a few weeks ago with my wife, and we had a great time. And she said, will you please come here for opening ceremonies? We'll promote it. We'll watch the opening ceremonies together. You can do a Q&A. So for those of you out in that area who just want to come share the evening, have some fun, drink a few beers or whatever the case may be, and watch the Olympic ceremonies, I'll answer questions, sign a few autographs if people want them, and just have a really good time.
That's great. Yeah. Go to Marnie's on February 6th and beyond, right, for the whole the Olympic experience. I remember watching them when we were in the dorms when we watched the 80 Olympics with the hockey team, and then obviously watching you out of that, but watching it with a shared experience like that. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything like it.
I agree. It brings the whole country together. You know, you got your team, but it also brings the world together in the name of sports. There's no politics. There shouldn't be politics except for the boycotts that occurred. We're there. There's a camaraderie. There's a respect. There's no there is an us versus them in competition, but where you're walking around the Olympic Village, there's a kindred spirit. We're all athletes. We're all pursuing the same dream, the same goal. And I think the rest of the country feels that. And to watch the games, and I think that's why it makes those magical moments, the Miracle on Ice in 80. I watched those too. Yeah. I was so inspired by that, not just because we beat the Russians, but just because the underdog won. It's one of those things. And we felt it too with our team.
We like underdog stories, at least I do, whether it's Rudy, like we were talking about earlier, or others. Yeah. Those are great things. Is there going to be any role for you for the LA 28 Olympics? Where are gymnastics even going to be?
I don't even know yet.
I don't know either. I know they've been announcing the sites. I knew SoFi is going to have the swimming event, which is interesting because they're going to build a big swimming pool in the middle of the stadium. But I
want to be more and more involved. Like I said, we just moved back 6 months ago. I know Janet Evans. So Janet, if you're out there listening, please let's talk. I want to help out as much as I can, be around the movement, support it as much as I can as well.
Yeah, Janet used to live, I believe, down in Ladera where I live. And I think she moved now. But she's a great swimmer and great advocate for women's swimming and all that still. Because I think I just saw her on something recently. And I think Peter's still involved in gymnastics, at least the federation or something
He used to be. Right? He used to be. I don't think he's so much anymore, but I know it would be wonderful if we had a reunion. Unfortunately, one of our teammates just passed recently, Jim Hartung. Oh. So we're very sad about that, but they're going to do a documentary on our team story. And so we're in the works on that, which I'm very excited about because I don't think people know the entire story of the 84 team, and we'll get to share that. We're doing interviews now. Producer Nick Nanton, who also did Rudy, the movie, he's taken it on, and we're excited to share our story, and we're hoping it could be repeated in 2028. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be great. We'd look forward to it. Yeah. So what is there a date when that will be finished, that documentary?
Towards the end of this year, it should be ready to shop. I know we've got financing for the whole thing, and we'll see what happens. You never know on these things, but I know that we're going to enjoy sharing the story of how it all happened and the backstory behind it.
Yeah, because you get to see it live when it's happening, but there's so much behind it, right? There's stories within stories with the 6 athletes and the coaches and just things that happen that you hear about after the fact, right?
Yeah.
And you go, wait a minute, how were you able to win a gold medal given some of the circumstances that we don't even know about? Those are just amazing type things. But so, Mitch, what are you working on now? What are you doing now?
One of the things that brought us back to California was me going back to my prior profession, which is life insurance. So I work with Higginbotham Financial. I work right here in Orange County, but I travel to LA at least once a week because I have a whole network of people out there as well. But I'm out there helping families protect their wealth, pass it on to future generations, things like that.
That's great. And you've been involved in the past. I know some charity work that you did, obviously, that you've done throughout the years. I know that's a passion of yours as well.
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about rising to the levels of the Olympics and getting a gold medal is you get asked a lot to go to these events, and every now and again you find one that you're very passionate about. One of mine over the years has been Vista Del Mar out of Culver City. I hosted an event called the Sports Sweepstakes, which I don't even know if they do it anymore. This is going back about 15 years, but I hosted that for about 8 years in a row. Stanley Black put that on, and it was a bunch of real estate people, raised a ton of money, and all that money went to help underprivileged kids at Vista Del Mar, help them through rough patches in their life. Make-A-Wish Foundation is another favorite of mine.
Yeah.
I got to go with Caitlyn Jenner now, but Bruce Jenner back then, where we got to visit kids in the hospital, and they wanted to meet us, and there's nothing more powerful than human connection, human emotion, and helping somebody out that's in that state in their life. If you can put any joy into their lives at that moment, the worst moments of their life, you're doing some really good stuff out there.
No, I don't think I'll ever win a gold medal unless it's the Senior Olympics. Maybe I wouldn't even know what event that would be. But what was it like? It has to just. I don't even know how to even, or maybe you have a hard time even explaining it. But what was it like having that draped around your neck and just what's that moment like?
It's a question I've been asked a lot, and you're right. It's hard to explain. And I think the best word. Euphoric. It's a euphoric feeling. Yeah. It's surreal a little bit, almost out of body. You're on a podium. The music's playing, the national anthem, the flags going up into the rafters where you see all the flags from around the world. You look in the stands, people you recognize, and there you are, the dream fulfilled. And I can tell you this, it's nothing like what I imagined it would feel like. I thought I would probably cry up there, to be perfectly honest. I had other competitions that were super meaningful to me. I had these quiet, emotional moments to myself.
Sure.
And I thought, man, if that ever happens to me on a big stage, I'm going to be the guy crying up there. And I wasn't. I was the guy smiling from ear to ear. Just, I can't believe it, and this is just amazing. It was almost disbelief, too.
Yeah.
It's like I said, we weren't projected to win. But Peter Vidmar was hyperventilating. I like, dude, calm down, take it in, enjoy it. He goes, I know. And all these... We didn't have to say too much to each other, but that moment was bonding for us, man.
Sure,
just bonding for life, and never forget it. We'll never forget it.
Yeah, and Peter's one of the most quietest guys I know. Just
salt of the earth.
So to see him hyperventilating had to be pretty amazing because he seemed pretty cool.
Well, Peter and I go way back. We competed against each other at 12 years old. So that's how far back we went. We went our own separate ways till we came back to UCLA, and that's where.
Because he grew up in Southern California too.
He's Culver City.
Culver City. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. So right from the trampoline, you went into gymnastics. Then.
I did.
So at 12. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. That's that's a good story. And then, is there anything part of your Olympic experience that because you lived in the Olympic Village, which I think
was at USC.
Oh, was that USC?
Yeah.
It wasn't at UCLA.
No.
We used UCLA for something. I remember
They did.
back then.
They housed a lot of athletes for something. I don't remember what sports it were.
But it wasn't gymnastics.
No.
Okay.
But honestly, I had a routine because we talked about home court advantage. But I lived there. I lived up in Beverly Glen at the time. And so I had a routine of how I worked out. And I thought it would break my routine by being in the village during competition. So I just went there once in a while to visit while other people actually lived there. And then after I was done, 7 days after the games start, then I hung out there and I was relaxed.
Yeah.
And had a great time and had a fun time at the village, at the Olympic Village. It was great.
Any memories stick out that was beyond the competition?
Probably one of the coolest memories was just being on one bus ride. I don't remember where we were going, but Carl Lewis and Carol Lewis were there. Bart was friends with them. So just meeting the other athletes. Michael Jordan was in these Olympics. So getting a chance to meet all these people that I had seen on television and admired so much. And now here we are sharing this experience. That's huge. And so closing ceremonies was amazing. We could all relax at that point. We enjoyed the show at the Coliseum. I believe Lionel Richie performed at those. And we're just celebrating, having fun, and enjoying celebrating our moments with everybody else.
Did you get to do opening ceremonies too?
Yeah.
So you did opening ceremonies?
But that was tense because the nerves are right there.
Right.
Quick funny story, opening ceremonies. When I was in 4th grade, I did a report on a famous Olympian. That was our assignment. And it was the first time that it clicked, hey, I'd like to go to the Olympics one day. So hold that story for a second. Now we're in the Olympic ceremonies, opening ceremonies. President Reagan comes over, the giant loudspeaker, ladies and gentlemen, look, the torch is making its way. Everyone turn to the entrance of the Coliseum. That now goes up on the big screen. The guy comes running in with the torch. Nobody knew who that was going to be at the time. It was a big secret. And this athlete's coming by, and we're in the middle of the field at this point. So I'm looking up there. I go, I know who that is. I know who that is. And the announcer goes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Rafer Johnson.
Yep.
That's who I did my 4th grade school report on.
Oh, my gosh.
Rafer Johnson. I got the chills. I'm like, okay, if there's any synchronicity or something happening beyond our control, this is it. And I'm meant to be here right now. And that's the guy who inspired my dream to be here.
Oh my
Good
gosh.
Things are going to happen. Another UCLA guy.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
Casey Yang and Rafer Johnson were teammates at UCLA. Ducky Drake, who our stadium is named after, was their coach.
Yeah.
And years later, we used to go to service at Bel Air Press, and Rafer used to go to service there. Yeah. And so did Bruce Jenner used to go. So we had two Olympic gold medalists in decathletes.
That was so cool.
Used to go to service along with President Reagan, actually.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
Wow. He was one of just a great human being, Rafer Johnson.
Oh, Rafer an amazing guy. And it was funny because listening to him, he was worried he wasn't going to make it up the turnstile steps at the Coliseum. And this was the best athlete in the world only 24 years earlier. When you start aging.
I know. Believe me, I can't get up on the gymnastics equipment now and look good, I promise.
But he did it, and it was an amazing moment. And those 2 weeks in L.A., I'll have to tell you, because we were worried about L.A. Traffic, smog. Those were the 2 best weeks in L.A. For some reason, God blessed us and said, look, there's not going to be any traffic. There's not going to be any smog. We're going to have these. And we had this just spectacular 2 weeks.
And people were nice to each other.
And people were nice.
There was some pride. We were hosting this, and we had to, we're on our best behavior. We were nice to each other, and it was wonderful. Wish it could be like that all the time.
I wish it could be that all the time. Peter Uberov did an amazing job in doing that. UCLA had a lot of input to it because we had the Olympic building that he donated after. That's still on campus there. Yeah. But any finals, I know we're running out of time already, but unfortunately, we can do this for hours and hours. Yeah. But any final thoughts you want to share with us?
Final thoughts. And what topic? What subject? What do you want to...
Whatever you want to talk about.
I think we should probably end it with what you just talked about, the city of Los Angeles pulling together and hosting the world. And if we can just get a little bit more of that, treat each other nicer out there, be supportive of each other, respectful of each other, I think that will go a long way.
I agree. That is a great way to end this program. We appreciate everybody who's been listening. My longtime classmate and friend, Mitch Gaylord, was able to join us today, and we look forward to working with him in Orange County here. And you'll see him around because he's been involved in the chamber and will continue to be involved in the chamber. And thank you all for being part of the chamber and listening. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Reuben. It's great to be here
with you.
Thanks,
Mitch. Thanks for having us. Thanks for being here.
Wow, there's a conversation I'm going to replay over and over again. Good to recap of where we've been and where we're going here in our community, because our community is your community. Brought to you by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios, not at UCLA, but at UCI's Beale Applied Innovation Center.